All right, so as recording is starting, I am Julie Ray, and I do assistive technology for the Duluth Public Schools and also for Region 3 of the state. And why we're doing office hours, we started them this spring when we first transitioned to distance learning. And basically, it's just a good way for us as a group throughout the region to be able to come together, share information, and hopefully make this transition to distance learning and hybrid learning and even in-person learning a little more smooth and support students in a better way. You'll see me use this slide at every presentation. And just a reminder that whenever we're thinking about assistive technology, we think through the SET framework. And that is thinking about the student, the environments, the tasks we want them to do in those environments. And then we use the overlay of tools we would like to use to support them in those tasks, in those environments, based on their specific needs as a student. Of course, we always use that equity overlay to make sure that every student is getting exactly what they need in those environments. All right, we're going to jump right into some sharing by our guest. We'll have time for question and answers. Greg will facilitate a conversation throughout. We'll share some additional resources at the end and have a wrap up. So kind of our general agenda. So without further ado, I will hand over both the screen sharing and the microphone to Greg Sumner. He's an occupational therapist from the Northern Lights Special Education Co-op, and he's going to be talking to us today about Chromebook accessibility.
Hey, thank you, Julie. Let me just get this shared here quick. I'm trying the 2-device method here today. Hopefully this is going to work. Present. All right. Can you see that, Julie? Give me a thumbs up, will you? If it works. It's loading. All right, good. All right. So thanks to Kelsey Funk, and was it Aaron? Is that his name last week from Office Hours? I took the time to actually go through the different mics, and I played with my iPhone mic, and I just couldn't make it work right. I played with this mic, couldn't get it to work right, and I finally found this one to make it work. So I really encourage you guys all to take 5 minutes to kind of just play through some of those things. And I only have one hole in my computer too, and I was able to work through that. So just a great thing to kind of do as you're going to be presenting. That was really helpful. I really appreciate what they talked about. All right, so let's talk about, today we're going to talk about Chromebooks, but I found this tool helpful for anybody who goes to a training on it. And I just think the more and more people can back up and think about this, the better our services are going to be. Back when I started, the biggest thing was about like a laptop. If you just get the kid a laptop, everything's going to be fine. And so we're kind of at that, get the kid a Chromebook, get the kid a new phase now. But we back up and say, okay, let's think about the student. You know, we don't know the student right now, but our environment, pretty much everybody has a Chromebook, it seems like. Can anybody, I'm guessing the majority in here has Chromebooks for their kids. It's a one-on-one. If you have a district that doesn't have one-to-one, can you just put something in the chat box? But I'm thinking most people have Chromebooks. So that's why I want to talk about the basic features of a Chromebook. So the task we're going to talk about today is reading, writing, organization of materials, screen. So that's kind of like the flipping back and forth. And today I'm using 2 computers because I'm so frustrated with like one screen and trying to flip back and forth. So we're really trying to figure out how do we do those things and how do we encourage kids to use the tools that they already have in their environment, a Chromebook, to work through those before we're adding something new. So we're going to just talk about the tools inside of the Chromebook. So the features inside every single Chromebook. So everybody's probably seen this picture, and I really think they do not have one-to-one. Okay, so but does Duluth have access to a lot of books, I'm guessing? Is that a part? So I'm just curious about that. So for fair selection. So what I think about with this cartoon is, with the use of technology, we're making it so that people can adapt and do things more, and they're able to climb the tree in their own way, or we adjust the expectations. So I really, Chromebooks can be a powerful tool. They're so inexpensive, a lot of things going on. And I was just having a conversation with Tina Olson this morning about a PI teacher, about the concept of like, here's something better, and it might take 4 weeks to get there, but we already have these 2 things. Maybe we should just get those started before we have to wait for the perfect solution that might actually take 3 months to get here. And so kind of using the options that you already have with you, I think can make a really big difference with kids right away. So what I'm really excited about is that when you turn on these accessibility features, you're going to unlock a lot of potential sometimes you might want to use these features before switching to an extension. And so basically, I want to make sure everybody's clear. Today, I'm talking about accessibility features and not in extensions. There's some places where extensions are way better for students, and there's some situations where Chromebook accessibility features are going to be way better. But today we're talking specifically about accessibility features. So I'm just going to show you a quick little video, and hopefully I can manage my materials here good enough to make sure you can hear it. I'm going to share this tab, and here we go, and make it larger. Here we go. It gets going. There we go. Hey, so you want to type with your voice or select to speak on a Chromebook? Well, you got to make sure that this little guy shows up on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So I'll go down here, I select by the time, and look at my little guy shows up. But if he doesn't show up for you, you got to click on this little settings button, and then you scroll all the way to the very bottom, get to accessibility, and make sure this is turned on. That's how all these features work. So then these things show up on the bottom for you. So I've been told I talk really fast. The beautiful part about videos is you can pause and play them back. My whole goal is always being able to say 30-second video, then people are going to watch it. So that's my style. I try to get in as much as I can. And then I think universal design means you can pause it, but I'm going to talk fast because I want to get a lot of information out there. But today I'm hoping to talk slow and create a nice office hours environment. So reading on the Chromebook, I think reading is one of the biggest things we can use. And so on a Chromebook, if you turn that accessibility feature on, it might cause a little bit of problems right away, but this is the most important part. You got to make sure this shows up, and you might actually have to talk to your IT department if you can't make it work. So that's just, if you can't get this to turn on, you're not gonna be able to do what I'm showing you here. Most of it, some of it you can. Like I say, the different Chrome extensions are the things you add on, like Read and Write Goal. You can see that up in the top right. This is the Read and Write Goal. I know that Duluth, you guys are really big about using that one. I think there's situations where that is a lot better, especially moving between machines and they aren't Chromebooks especially. So, but when you have a Chromebook and you don't have the extension already, this might be the better way when they don't have that availability. So select to speak. I'm just going to show it and then I'll tell you about it. So this one is just basically, it's like on your keyboard, there's a magnifying glass on a Chromebook. And all you have to do is touch that and S at the same time, and then this feature will turn on and work. Let's see how a student can have text read out loud for him or her when they're on a Chromebook. All they have to do is find what they want to have read out loud, highlight it, look down at the keyboard, touch the magnifying glass, and then tap the letter S.
Before disbanding in May 1946, the unit was reestablished.
I will make a link. I'm going to pause it there. Did you see that thing pop up? This is going to happen. That's just how it goes right there. So did you see that? That's going to happen sometime, but I will make a link below to click on to show you how to set this up. Any questions, please? So I mentioned that if you scroll down, this is very valuable right now, is that make sure if you can't find what you need when you watch these videos, I put the details down below. So like to enable this, that's the video we just watched. So then you could send these to the students or send them. I mean, ideally I would say make your own videos, because when they see and hear your voice, they're going to respond better to you, but feel free to pass these along if they want. And then say, look at the directions. There's things like changing the voice speed down there. And the accessibility guy, I'm not sure if anybody has feedback, like you might want to change the name of that, it's not good or whatever, let me know. But I put all the information down in there for you. Oh, shoot, I just didn't share my screen again. Ugh, shoot. All right, so if you guys can have a little patience with me 1 second here as I learn to manipulate my materials. You know, and I think it was fun. I was talking to Julie before we got on, and
I can.
Oh, I'm good. I got it back here. Let's see here. I think half of these office hours, the beauty of it is modeling. We're all struggling and we're all going to have glitches. And so just being able to talk through it, I think is all right, because nobody's doing it perfect. That's for sure. All right. So present. There we go. Okay. So now I was talking about the reading. Okay. So basically magnifying glass, select what you want, magnifying glass. And it's pretty much, that's how it goes. So basically, I couldn't believe it. Last night I was playing with this, and it does work offline. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if it'll always work offline, but I made it work yesterday. And you can change the speed of the voice. Voice writing. I think people mention this is one of the things people are using the most is voice writing. When I say that, everybody has different words, you know, speech recognition software, blah, 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 but writing with your voice, typing with your voice. So there's two ways. Voice search and type is different than voice typing in Google Docs that Aaron showed last week. This took me a long time to get my head straight. I was just so overwhelmed with this. And I've actually, just to throw this out there, I've used a Chromebook for 2 years. I didn't even have a PC in my house. And I love my Chromebook. There's a lot of features that can work. But once I had my own Chromebook, then I got my head around these pieces. So voice search, you can use it anywhere you enter text. So any place your keyboard works, voice typing will work. Sorry, I got to use the terms right. Voice search, voice type, whatever. This option I'm going to show you, it'll work anywhere. So it's used for short entry though, because you can talk and just like Siri will cut you off if you don't keep talking. It'll cut you off. So it's good for like YouTube searches, maybe spelling help. It does require internet connection. As where voice type is where you type into the document and it won't cut you off. You turn on and off the mic. So I'll just show you this one here. Oops, wrong place. All right, over here. There we are. And I am trying to keep the bar a little low. I was really overwhelmed by Aaron last week. He was so good. So I'm trying to slow it down and, you know, have some errors so that people feel more comfortable because there's so many cool things going on out in this region. So I'm excited to hear from others in the future.
Type anywhere on the screen using your voice. Check it out. I click right here. I can never spell this word. Go to the bottom right corner, click on this microphone, onomatopoeia, and then I hit enter. And there we go. I get to what I want. To set it up, just go here, click this bottom button, click on accessibility, and click on the dictation feature.
So did you guys notice there in the bottom right-hand corner, there's some features that change as you turn it on and off. You'll see there's like a speaker, a microphone in the bottom that comes on and off. Whoop, I didn't back it up. So anyways, those are the things to look for as you're doing that. So I'll switch
you
back.
want to type multiple.
Whoops, there we go. All right, and it's off. Okay, there we go. Okay, so, and then voice typing is just a little bit different. I'll just show you the difference so you can verbalize it. Or not verbalize it, but just see it. Okay, sharing this tab.
So you want to type multiple sentences using your voice. Well, here's a quick way to do it on Google Docs. Make sure you're in Google Docs. You go to Tools, select Voice Typing, and then boom, I have this appear. First time you do it, you have to allow your microphone to work with it, and that's just fine. So whenever I want to type with my voice, I click on this, and when I'm done, I click on it again. Hello, Google, please help me type with my voice, period. There's how it goes.
So like I said, that I show that one right next to the Chrome option because I just want people to understand that it's another voice typing option, and I'm an OT, so I like to make sure people know about writing options. Oh, I did it again. Shoot. I keep forgetting to share my screen or undo it. So, all right. So I have to go back to Google Meet and share my screen again. So anyways, that's a good one and just something I like to tell people is what I found helpful is to make sure to have them like copy text as they're learning to type with their voice, because composing with your pencil is much harder than copying. Just back up to when you're in kindergarten. They learn to copy before they learn to compose with their pencil. So I would encourage you to use your voice and copy first. So you're going to get the kids that are going to say all the stupid words, and they're going to do the swear words, and they're going to say poop, and they can do that, but on their own time. But it's like the idea of when you want them to do something purposefully, have them verbalize. The best case scenario is that they pencil out what they want, then they read off what they want, or a para writes it out for them, and then their expectation is they have to voice it out. They have to read what they wrote and then put it on the computer. Just like when I was a kid, you use a pencil and then you use the old typewriter. So those are some things I encourage for that. Whoops, wrong keyboard. There we go. Okay. Well, there we go. We're going all right. Wow, it's only 12:16. We're getting through this. Good. All right. So self-advocacy on Chromebook. Okay, so basically what I'm really encouraging people is a picture says 1,000 words. And so I love it when people share screenshots with me when they're trying to explain something. And I have to get better about sharing screenshots too, because sometimes people say, hey, can you just send me a screenshot? Because I don't know what you're talking about. So here's a little video just to make sure. I think a lot of people are using this, but there still are some people that aren't quite comfortable with this, and just understand that it's a huge tool to help kids. And my encouragement is to help students, like require students to send you a screenshot once a week into their vernacular, because we're all experiencing this pandemic together, and it is so hard to get through some of these technical glitches. And the more that you model it, the more they'll use it.
How do you do a screenshot? Well, you look right here, and there's the control on your keyboard. It'll be CTRL. You touch that and touch the Windows, which is at the top of your keyboard. Touch those two keys and it'll snap a shot. You can then click copy to keyboard, and then it's nice and easy to paste it in somewhere. You can either right click and paste, or you can do a Control V to paste it into that spot. I'm going to do a Control Z to undo that, and then show you this one. The second way to do it is to do a portion of the screen. I love this part. Do the CTRL button, and then the Shift button, and then the Windows key. So you do those three, and then I can just choose just a tiny little spot on the screen. And there we go. And I hit copy to clipboard right away before it goes away. And then I can click where I want, either right click, do a paste, or a Control V. And there it goes. And then I can move that around wherever I want. Hope this works for you.
I heard a great saying once, when in doubt, right click it out. And I think it can really make a big difference for kids if you kind of teach them those skills of just playing around with right click it, try to right click it first. That, and I also believe keyboard shortcuts are really kind of almost should be like pencils. Like you got to start learning keyboard shortcuts. I really encourage the kids to start. Control Z is about my favorite. It's like an eraser. So I'd really encourage that. But, and I think I might've said an edit. I hear myself made a mistake. It's copy to the clipboard. If you don't do that right away, it'll go away. You can find it, but it's just harder to get to. It takes more steps. So I try to encourage the students to do that. So there we go. All right. So let me see here. So that's that one is a self-advocacy. I just wanted to show this cool feature. I've got this timer that I'm trying to use more often to help make sure I don't go over my time. So right now I'm going to flip it over to the 5-minute timer. It's so cool. This is totally a commercial. So I just flipped it to 5, and then it goes to 5, and then I flip like this, and it changes to 10. And I flip it like this, and it goes to 20. I love this thing. It's just, I bought one for my house and one for here. So I'm going to say 5 minutes. I'm going to really wrap it up. So I'm using that for myself now. All right. So here we go. Organizing materials. This used to be paper, book, pencils, crayons. Nowadays, they have to do that, and they have to do windows, tabs, opening favorites, finding links, Google Meet, Zoom, mute, unmute. These are kind of the new ways that kids need to learn to we're struggling with. We assume kids just know this stuff. And I think the more we can slow down, especially in special ed, make sure we just go back to the basics. Sometimes we don't need to go to speech recognition. We can just go to organizing materials. That might help them a lot. So really just saying, how do you do that? And just start learning yourself. And the more you're learning these things, the more you can share those on with other kids. So I just made a little video. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware. This is stuff that on every Chromebook works, even if you have that little accessibility guy or not. This is kind of the basics, that it doesn't work the same on a computer, but it will do it on a Chromebook. So these are the things I was talking about, organizing materials. So here's a 3-minute video, and then I'm going to let you guys watch that video because I want to have a little conversation with you guys. But basically, there's a 3-minute video there. I really encourage you to follow up on it, because I guarantee you're going to find something on this video that you're going to like and use for yourself if you use a Chromebook. I'll just say it like that, because there's some fun stuff on there. So I encourage you to follow up on that one. All right, tips to learning new Chromebook skills. One of my favorites is I some new keyboard shortcuts I'm using is I always stick a Post-it note on my computer for new things I'm learning. Bookmarks, if you notice there, bookmarks, I create a folder on my bookmarks bar. Some people don't know you can do that. And then I put in like all my links for things that I'm learning, make a screencast for myself, or to pass along, keep a running log of things you're learning and how to do it, share it with your students. Even if it's a notebook, that's great. Or if it's a Google Doc, you can share that with other kids, or you can, but different styles. So I'm just curious, any quick tips like this, throw them in the chat box, if you will, tips for learning new Chromebook skills, throw some stuff out there. And I can't throw anybody candy, otherwise I could try to get you guys to talk, but maybe we have to get some Venmo out there. So what are others finding useful? This was from when people signed up. People were saying they're using a lot of screenshots, like the group that signed up today. Voice typing, a lot of people are using voice typing. Extensions, people are using quite a bit. Uploading photos of handwritten info to Drive. I think some parents are struggling with, when it comes down to like a math equation and they can't figure out that darn extension that works perfect. I think there's the ability to say, I'm going to upload a picture of what you just wrote and we're going to send it to your teacher and see if that works. I think that might be an option that people, after I read that, I was like, hey, that might work. 2-finger mouse scrolling, figure out ways to use the 2 fingers on your keyboard. And also you can use 4 fingers and it does different things. Split screen is like huge game changer if you're doing a lot of Google Meet. So you can see your class and play with that one, figure that one out if you haven't been using it. That's huge. Skip ahead on videos using arrow keys is what somebody said. Listening to text read out loud is a few other people talked about. So those things are happening. All right, so I got 1 minute and 33 on my timer up there. So how are people using text to speech? I'd love to hear. What are some specific tasks that people are doing? Like, those are some things I wrote out there. Is reading test questions, I think, is a common one that's through the last 3 years it's been happening. Researching a paper, if they're reading Wikipedia, I use it myself when I get tired and I just want to try to practice what I preach and make sure I can work it out. Proofing my reading if I want to make sure my email looks good. Free reading. Anybody else? Any other? I'm Mac, PC, and Chromebook. Okay, nice, good. When you want to write fast, nice. Oh, you use your voice, I'm guessing that's what that one's for, Keely. Nice, I agree. My favorite is adding up like a series of 10 numbers. I'll be like, what's 10 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 set 2.3? And it's like so fast and you can see what you typed in. I love that part. So yeah, how are people using voice typing? What are you guys seeing? These are some things I've seen kids use. Just practice their spelling words and they can make sure they're spelled how they're supposed to be, or short answer, they're verbalizing those things. Final draft, like I talked about earlier, or some kids are composing it, they're just playing around with it. So for text, social media, definitely perfect. Good. Well, I'm looking at my timer and I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at. I got about 8 seconds and it's going to beep. I can't see Windows and Zoom on my screen. Let's see here. I want to read what Shell said there. Our Chromebooks in our room are older and I found I can't see Windows and Zoom when I screen share. Oh, right. There's some challenges for sure. Our Chromebooks. Right. That's the trick. And that's why I don't know how to fix that right now exactly, but that's why I've taken my computer and I have a separate computer. So I have 2 devices many times when I'm on Google Meet, because I just find it so frustrating, those kind of things, Shelley. So the more you play around with variations, I think is my suggestion. So anyways, that's my time now. So I think if people want to move into more of the question answers, does anybody have any questions? They can turn off their mic and talk about them, and Julie will turn off the recording maybe, so people feel a little more open to talk. I am not sure about updating my Chrome. I think I generally update Chrome whenever I can, but I haven't been using this Chromebook as much. What are you thinking, Sophia? Are you thinking this is older or a newer version of what you're using?
No, I'm thinking that if you find some of the features are missing, it might be that you haven't updated your Chrome often enough. I think we all forget to do that because we can just open and keep using the Chromebook. We don't have to power it off and power it on again every time.
Great tip. Right. A lot of times you're under the control of tech, and yeah, those are nice options. Most districts, it seems like you can't power wash without it.
Hmm.
I love the power wash feature on my personal one. But go, Julie.
I think the thing that Shelley was getting at too is when you're sharing your screen, you can't see who the people are in the presentation, and so yeah, we run that into that in Google Meet also, and that's the split screen thing. That's when we do that split screen trick. It's not perfect if we don't. If we only have the one screen to work on, but it's kind of a workaround, and that was in one of your videos, I think, Greg.
Yeah, if you watch that 3-minute video, that can help. So I'm sorry I didn't have time, but I just wanted to have time to hear what you guys were talking about. So just go back to this spot and watch that 3-minute video. Or Julie made a sweet video last spring with that, how to really dial in a Google Meet. That was pretty sweet. But yeah, if you want to go through those other parts, if people are, oh, nice. Keely talked about she signs in on my phone and computer to help with that. Nice. See, I wondered if people are using their phones as kind of a separate device. I'm finding I have to have 2 devices if I'm doing Google Meet. It just makes it so much easier. Now, Keely, are you using that just for the audio or just for the visual, or can you expand?
So I usually have the meeting that I'm watching on my phone, and then if I'm presenting something, I can use my computer. And I feel like I'm almost in front of a class because it's more normal to have my computer be that way, and my phone is my way to watch the class and to listen.
Nice.
And by class, I mean one kid, because I only have one show up at a time, but you know what I mean.
No, that's perfect. That's awesome. Cool. Well, Julie, do you want to wrap it up with your great resources?
Sure, I'll do exactly that. We've got just a couple minutes left here. We do have some additional resources there. In Finitech, there are multiple upcoming live webinars. You can click on that link and see what they've got coming up. Everything from how to better use Seesaw to augmentative and alternative communication and everything in between. Someone had asked a question about voice typing math symbols, like getting the numbers and the math symbols. And if you are able to install an extension called Equatio, that one is a great one. There's a 2-minute YouTube video on how to use Equatio. That's just a link. Below that is just a link to some text-to-speech and speech-to-text options, both ones that Greg referenced today, including his videos, and some that Aaron referenced last week too. I always, when we Meet will reference last week's office hours, which were Aaron O'Leary. He talked about Read and Write for Chrome, that extension. He talks about voice typing in Docs and some captioning in Canvas. You can always subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Northland AT YouTube channel, which is where you'll also find a recording of this session. Next week, we've got Anne Demoski-Roberts, who is a special ed teacher in Hibbing, and she's going to be talking about Everyday Speech, which is a social emotional learning platform. It is a paid platform, but has a 30-day free trial. So if you'd like to learn more about that, you can register at that link, and you'll also get an email later this week with more registration information. Also, some additional upcoming weeks scheduled. So we've got Anne next week. Krista the week after will be talking about visual supports and more for COVID-19 topics, like how to wear a mask. The week after that, Sherry Walker will be talking about Jamboard, which is the interactive whiteboard within Google Meet and just within Google. And then in November, we'll be doing some lending library access trainings. If you have 2 minutes today, I would love it if you could provide some feedback. There's a question specifically about this training, but then also just about office hours in general. There's something that we've been offering for quite some time now and hope to continue to offer, and want to make sure that we're doing that in the way that serves you the best. So I'd really appreciate any feedback that you could give. As you walk away today, think about your just one thing. What is one thing that Greg talked about that might be useful for one of your students as you think through that SET framework, and try to provide them the most equitable opportunity and access? So what is that one thing? And thanks so much for attending and all the work that you're doing. We know it's not easy in these times. You'll get a recording of this session emailed to you once I've got it uploaded and captioned. And of course, feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you have. I'll stop the recording now, but I will hang around for any additional questions that people have too.